Hey, welcome back to Cards and Comics, and today I am recording from the basement and in the man cave. Now, my air conditioning unit just turned off, so I'm trying to get it in between. But if you hear something in the background, that will be the old AC unit kicking on. So here I am in the basement talking about cards and comics with you guys. Hopefully you saw some of my recent videos. The most recent one, I just did about, kind of the issue with the environment and the impact that comics is having in cards. Was something to just throw out there. I think some folks, didn't know how to take that one, but, part of my job, is to do risk assessments, and environmental risk assessments is definitely part of my gig in some instances. So it's just a way to kind of think about things. And even though you see I got a lot of plastic here, in my own collection, I think the point was just that, how do we think about this for the future? So that was that video, and now moving on to sort of a mail day kind of discussion, hobby update type video. Sharing my pickups, and obviously, I'm continuing down the road of my Death and Sandman pickups. And today I've got some pretty interesting ones. First up here is this Madame Xanadu book. I believe it was from 2009. So it's a little bit more recent from the Sandman universe. And it's got a really nice cover of Madame Xanadu and Death, sort of like as dolls on the front of the cover. And again, just a really interesting take on the characters, and again, something that I don't think has been done like this before. So I think this is a really cool version of Death. Another Death cover, and then behind it is a really interesting book, and it's going to be a book that you're going to go like, what the heck? Why are we looking at this book? And Action 628, and this is when Action was an anthology, and so in this issue, you've got Green Lantern, Black Canary, the Secret Six, Nightwing, Superman, all doing crazy stuff, comic book stuff, and but the reason why it's on the list is that recently in the Heritage auctions, there's a piece of Sandman art that's up for sale that's bringing big bucks. It's over $20,000 already. And, it is the preview for the Sandman series, which appeared in this comic book. And so I'm going to open it up and show it to you, because I've actually never seen it. I just got this book in and unboxed it. So I've never seen this ad. I don't know. I saw what it looks like from the Heritage auction, but I've never seen it in a comic book, in person before. So this will be my first look at it as well. So we'll see what we got here. I don't know what page it is, so we'll just keep flipping through the book and see if we can find it. There's the Black Canary. I missed a few pages here, so I hope I didn't flip through it as we look for it. It's sort of like, how they do the previews as being kind of like a prequel appearance, in some of these comic books, especially like here's like a Mr. Miracle, preview, right? So that was, but that's what we're looking for, the Sandman. There it is, back of comic, and there you go. So this was the first ad for the Sandman series before it was released, and so this Mike Dringenberg artwork is up for sale. I don't know if it's over yet or not. When I kind of got aware of this, it was still live, and this whole artwork, this original piece is up for sale, but it's just a really cool, historical piece here, and obviously this definitely got people excited about the series. And I like the other page here is Pac-Man, but Because right behind me you can see my Pac-Man machine, so I think that's kind of funny. But then, so yeah, so this is kind of like an interesting side piece to a Sandman collection. Is that's the first kind of prequel artwork. You can get these on eBay really cheap. I mean, this is the thing I found with really interesting about buying kind of dollar bin type comics on eBay is that no one cares about condition. Like you gotta really, if you want a book that's just not beat up, you want something to stick back, And I'm not saying that these are going to be you should be looking for 9.8s, on eBay. When you're looking through eBay books to buy, books like this, yeah, you're not going to find a lot of 9.8 candidates, but they should be advertised as truthfully. And I found it's just like these books come in and generally in just horrible condition. Usually when you buy like a very fine or near mint book off eBay, unless it's a spec book. And then the returns on those are so high that they won't tell you something bad. Like like I remember buying like Why the Last Man, raw, and it had a creased back cover, and the guy's like, oh well, it's still in my books near mint. I'm like, yeah, it's not, and but he took the return. It wasn't like a big deal, right? Like I'm not going to return a $2 or $4 comic book, but you still kind of have to look at the condition and make sure the photos are real. And this one was okay, good. It's a definitely okay condition. All right. So next up is into cards. So I'm getting into cards, and I have more cards today than I normally have had recently. But yeah, I mean the Fanatics news. I haven't really talked about it in any general terms, and so we'll start with the card first, and then we'll go into the Fanatics. So here is a 2020 Topps Chrome Refractor, Mike Trout, SGC 9.5. And I've been pretty critical of SGC recently because their holders and how they're basically damaging cards. So I really look at these cards, and the edges, and making sure the holder isn't like cutting into the card. So this one looked pretty good, so I bought it. It's really cheap actually. So yeah, so that's the first card. So yeah, on this thing with Fanatics, right? Nothing that's come out has convinced me that this is going to be good. I know everyone's speculating right now, and everyone, is kind of, overreacting one way or the other. Either it's going to be, great, having new hobby overlords who are going to, do more things for the hobby, or it's going to be terrible because they're going to, jack the prices up and make it, hard to get product. The part that bothers me about it all is the idea that they're going to be, they really want to be vertically integrated and one stop for everything. So I think they see the perfect solution for the hobby is this: you make the cards, you sell the cards, you grade the cards, then you sell them again through an auction, right? So that's the full life cycle capture, right? So if you think about what's not happening in the hobby today with all the pieces of the puzzle is you've got auction houses independently selling assets and getting their share. You've got collectors who are buying product independently of the companies, like Topps and Panini. They're getting it graded by another third party who's making their share of the money. PSA, for example, makes money on the cost of the card and the price and the value of it. So you've got, multiple, and then you got distributors making their money, you got card shops. And I see Fanatics really saying, look, we're going to not only, make the product, but we're going to have the only outlet to sell it, either online or in a store that we're going to own. And then, if you want it graded, to make more money on the product, then we want to have a stake in that. And then if you want to sell it again after it's graded, then we want to do that as well. And what the problem with that is that it takes away tons and tons of checks and balances, right? Of course, it makes more sense if you're going to grade a card um, and sell the card to grade it high, or to give preferential grading to people that are in your own company, for example. And PSA's had all these issues. So for folks, and I've had a few folks recently accuse me of being like this big PSA fanboy for being critical of SGC. Look, guys, like, I've been very critical of PSA, and it starts with this. David Hall, who founded PSA, the first thing he did was grade his own collection, and some of those cards are some of the highest grades for the that's ever been recorded for like T cards. And if you talk to a lot of collectors, they'll tell you like they're not strong grades. They were overgraded, yada yada. They shouldn't deserve to be the greatest version of that card. And that just starts this whole ball rolling of, you've got people buying cards, selling cards in the same company. WATA and the whole video game industry just brought this huge thing to life. How do you think WATA got the idea, and Heritage and Ken Golden and Collector's Universe got the whole idea for doing this whole video game thing? They're using sports cards as the test case for how this should work, right? PSA, which it didn't start grading, but they were the second or third to really come into the market, just like WATA, vertically integrated back in the late 90s, early 2000s. They had, I think it was a Legacy Sports. They had an auction house, so they were buying cards, selling cards, grading cards, and fortunately for us back then, what happened was the auction house business got very competitive, and I think PSA really wasn't making a lot of money. Plus, there was a lot of criticism in the hobby of PSA doing that. And then that's why I was super critical when they bought Ken Golden auction houses, because they're doing it again. And it was proven to be, very shady back in the late 90s, early 2000s when this was done the first time. And so, where do you think WATA and these guys got the idea to do this again? It was from PSA. And guess who owns WATA now? Well, it's Collector's Universe, right? So this is not a coincidence that this is all happening in multiple industries again. So yeah, I think as we get back into Fanatics, they see that as a model, right? To see like, look, let's just own everything and have the supply chain and value chain all tied together, and where we get a cut of everything. And I really think that's where they're going. I really think that they want to own a piece of everything. And so if that's the case, and that's why they're paying billions of dollars for the rights to everything, is that they can control everything. Now, on the flip side is they're encouraging federal intervention. They're begging the question for the government to get involved. I don't think they're going to let A, free trade be so restricted, but B, allow companies basically to print money like this. I mean, this is horribly unregulated, and I just don't see collectors are not going to stand for it, because the amount of shadiness that's going to come out of this is going to be to the next level. But I can also see companies like PSA who are attempting to do the same thing. Like, we want to own as much of the supply chain and value chain as possible, to get upset. Tops will get upset. So there's going to be companies opposing this, along with consumers, to the point to where I don't think Fanatics is just going to be able to steamroll and buy Tops, buy Panini, buy PSA, buy everything and own everything, and get rid of distribution and only work with LCSs that are Fanatics, LCSs or whatever they plan on doing. So anyway, that's my take on Fanatics. I think it's going to be more to come. I don't think they're going to get the free pass to just take over the whole hobby, but it's very interesting the approach they're taking so far. All right, back to cards. So my next card is a fairly common card. I've never had one of these. It's a 78 Jack Morris rookie card. Yeah, it's an 8, you know, and I got it because it was just floating around, and I ended up snagging it in an auction. So, you know, I grabbed it. It wasn't expensive, you know, but it's a Hall of Fame rookie. The next one is a card that's been, you know, really cheap lately, and you know, I finally, you know, it's a Topps 3D, and I think this is his, you know, behind the Sapphire. You know, this card is pretty rare and pretty tough to get. You know, I forget how many thousands are made, but it's not many. And you know, I know Tatis is a little, I guess, down right now, but I think this is a card that's going to bounce back. And it used to be pretty expensive. I think you know, I paid, you know, like 450, you know, for this card. So you know, yeah. So I'm hoping this card bounces back and goes back to where it used to be. But you know, it's definitely you know, a card that's taken a hit, you know, with some other Tatis cards. But, you know, I think this is definitely his, you know, in the top 5 if you want, of his, like, base rookie card variation. Up there, I think right next to the Sapphire in terms of rarity. Next up is some football, and so, you know, I've got some more football coming in. I don't have it. I'm quoting some vintage, so we'll have it next time. But this is just the Trevor Lawrence 1989 score kind of throwback variation of his score rookie. Not rare, not expensive. I just like the orange and orange look to it. If you're going to have the you know, college uniform, you know, this is a nice looking. And obviously 89 score is a classic set. And yeah, you can see the back is the 89 score back. Next up is a card that I just like the look of it, and I think, you know, it's a good spec. You know, this wasn't very expensive. But here is a Prism Black CD Lamb, and you know, these cards are really nice, and this is pretty well centered. So you know, obviously they grade nice if they got good surface. So surface looks okay. We'll see how it does, you know, or how he does in the Cowboys. So, and last but not least is the coolest card. It's kind of funny how this card came in, but it's definitely a card I really like, and it's the 2014 Brady Prism, but this is the red, white, and blue. And I'm not, you know, internally, personally, big invested in these color matches, but from a reseller's perspective, I recognize that, you know, people like these. And I think this is one of the cooler ones because you get all 3 colors of his uniform in one card. These are what I consider to be kind of like the early OG prisms. You know, this is the 3rd year for Prism, and so, you know, they don't do these red, white, and blues like this anymore. It's usually just the border now. So this is kind of cool how they did this year. And it's a 9, so it's not a 10, unfortunately for you grade snobs. But you know, I think it's a great card, and I think, you know, going to card shows, you know, people will really, you know, like having that card because, again, I think it's, you know, it's one of those cards where, you know, you definitely have a lot of folks who just want it because of the, you know, that color matching, and it's an early Prism Brady card. So, so that's all the cards I've got between those two guys, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.